How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Watch this whole video if you want to become a better trader in 2022. If you have no desire to become a better trader in 2022, you can go ahead and cut this video off. You can go back to doing what you was doing because that's what this particular video is targeted to. And that's what we're going to talk about. So this is going to be a really good video to watch if you're an options trader who I normally make content for, Forex, you day trade, you swing trade, you trade equities. It really doesn't matter because trading right in and out of the markets is pretty much based on the same principles, regardless of what particular specialty or lane that you're in. So if you're trading cryptocurrency, maybe even if you're trading real estate paper, it can all apply to what we're getting ready to talk about today. So this is going to be who this particular video is targeted at. If you're not interested in getting the success from this particular space, you're on the wrong particular video, and you could probably get a lot of better use of your time by watching something else. But the person that's going to get the most value from this video is the person that's going to watch the video all the way through and maybe even watch the video multiple times. And let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is ask ourselves, do we want to become a better trader in 2022? Right? So if you want to become a better trader in 2022, hit me up in the comments and let's go ahead and get into it, right? Because that's who this particular video is for. Okay, it's not for the people that don't want this. And what we're trying to really do is curate the content for the people that can get the best result of the content, and everybody else keep doing what you're doing. I don't have like an alerts platform. I don't have a particular platform where I feed people plays. However, if you've been paying attention to what I've been putting on this YouTube channel, you've been fed plays that you could have taken, I wouldn't say taken advantage of, but you could have benefited from if you understood what I was actually giving you. And many times what we do as people is we a lot of times can't see what's right in front of us, right? And then by the time we figure it out, it's too late. But the information was in front of us the whole time. And we're going to kind of go into these particular steps. Now, I got these steps from an article. One of the students that I was able to coach and had a lot of success in this particular space, they've had fantastic success. And they gave this list of steps. And I really like this. I said, I'm going to go ahead and make a video around this because I thought they could be very beneficial to somebody. So it's not just me talking all the time, but we're using this particular person's words and we're just repurposing them to make video content. Right, because I thought what this person created was very powerful because the day they posted the fact that they was able to trade this morning, do some other things, and their day was pretty much over with. Right, and this is a person that used to work, really hard day in and day out to make the money to support their family, and because they figured out how to trade successfully, and they were able to transform themselves into a person that can do that, they're able to live the life that they desire. And we're going to go into this based on what they said because I thought this could be very powerful for a person who wants to become a better trader in 2022 and thereon. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create your own definition of success. One of the biggest challenges a lot of people have is they're trying to live up to somebody else's definition of success. Therefore, if a person is coming to you and saying, well, you know what? I did $100 million this year. You're attracted to that person because essentially you are interested in how they did $100 million, and that becomes your definition of success. The question you want to ask you is, how do you define success internally? What does success look like to you? So success looks like to you may not be a dollar amount. It may be the fact that you can do what you want to do with your family. Or what success looks like to you is that the fact that you don't have to take a lot of time away from your family to make money. Or what success may look like to you is the fact that you can trade and make an extra $2,000 to $5,000 a month, and you know you can make that money, so you can cut back 10 hours or 15 hours on your job. That's what success may look like to you. Many times we're trying to live up to somebody else's definition of success, and the problem is you're going after something that you didn't really want in the first place. So the motivation is not really there because you never wanted that. You need to define success for yourself and then figure out, how can I utilize a particular set of tools to get the success that I desire? So for our particular program, we talk about how it's targeted at people that don't like the fact that there's a cap on their income. They don't like the money that they're making from their 9 to 5, and they don't like the fact that they have to take a lot of time away from their family. However, this particular program and trading can be utilized for other people. I was looking at potentially maybe moving to South America this year, because if I move to South America, I can stay on the Eastern Standard Time and still trade the market without having to worry about a big time discrepancy like I could if I was to move to the other side of the world, like the East. There's a big time gap. In fact, they may even be ahead of our market. The reason why I was going to do that is because, one, it would allow me to still trade the market on Eastern Standard Time. And two, I could stack up a lot of money because of the cost of living, right? So the money I'm making in the United States that I'm spending to support myself, I could support myself way longer down there. The issue would be how long can I stay down there? Because I would want to do an extended run because I would want to really stack a lot of paper. That may be my definition of success. That may not be somebody else's definition of success. This is why this is so important. You got to kind of determine what is your definition of success. And many people are chasing somebody else's definition of success. Therefore, they're really not inspired to be there. If you know you don't want to make $100 million in business, why are you listening to somebody just because they made $100 million in business? Why is that even attractive to you when you know you don't want to go make that, right? So I would really encourage you as a trader, really define your own definition of success. Next thing you want to do is go through whatever course you took multiple times. One of the biggest challenges that we have is that we've been educated that education is linear. What do I mean by that? You just go right through it. Therefore, people buy courses, and if they do go through the course, they go straight through the course like they did when they was in college. And education programs really should not be designed that way, right? When you go take martial arts, there is no straight line through martial arts. You're constantly learning. And then a lot of times you can get experience and you can go back to what you learned as a novice and you can reinforce that to get better and better, because the great martial artists are great at the fundamentals. They're not really great at the complicated stuff. That's what a lot of people don't understand. What you got to realize is that the way we've been educated to learn, it supports you consuming, right, a class. So the college needs you to consume a certain amount of credit hours to get your degree. So they got to put you through a particular course of learning to where you can consume what they have to sell to you to get your degree, which means you got to run linear through their programs. When you're taking a self-paced, self-educated program, it may not be linear. Therefore, the goal is not how fast you can get through it. The goal is how are you going to learn it to get the result that you desire based on how you define success. That may take you 6 months. It may take you 6 years. Everybody's going to be different. However, you have the resource there to continue to learn it the same way if you were to take martial arts. There's nobody saying, well, you know what, if you took martial arts and you don't have a black belt in 6 weeks, or you don't have a black belt in 6 months, it means that that martial arts course isn't any good. It can take you the rest of your life to master martial arts. That's how deep it is. That's what people got to understand, because in martial arts, you're not trying to master the exercises. You're really trying to master yourself. Now, how long is it going to take you to do that? Right? So that's the thing, is that you need to go through whatever course you took multiple times. You may need to go through it 30 times, whatever amount of times it's going to take for you to get an understanding where you can apply it to get the result that you need. That's what you need to do. And the challenge is, do you do that, or do you get distracted with something else? You need to read more business articles, right? Daily. The key word is read. And this is something that we're going to kind of go into, right? What most people struggle with when they come into the markets is that they're learning a new language and they're learning a new perspective on the world. The average person in America doesn't know anything about the financial markets. The average person in the world knows even less. Therefore, if you leave America and you go to other parts of the world, they know zero about financial markets for the most part. It's not even something they're even exposed to. In America, the average person knows very little. So it's easy to promote these narratives on the internet. You cannot come into my Discord group and say, you know what? Biden is responsible for inflation. We know that's not true, because we're better educated than that. We know who's responsible for inflation. We understand that the Federal Reserve sets monetary policy. So Biden doesn't have any control over inflation. In fact, if you really want to get deep with it, the U.S. government doesn't control their own money. So in reality, they don't really control the economy. But that's a whole other conversation a lot of people aren't ready for. So the issue that most people have is that they're trying to come into a trading space, but they have to re-educate themselves, which does mean they have to re-indoctrinate themselves on how the world actually works. And that's going to take time, because you're now being presented with new information based on new perspectives. And I'm going to kind of talk about. So one of the things I really try to get people to understand is that if you're going to be a successful trader, you got to consume business trading related articles. It's not just about you watching somebody's videos on YouTube. And I think one of the reasons why people can watch something that I produced on YouTube and not be able to make a connection to it is because they don't have the fundamental understanding of how the markets work. And the reason for that is they're not reading. They're just watching YouTube videos. One of the secrets of this market, if there's any secret, is a lot of the real information is put in print because they know most people don't read. I used to write copy, and what I was taught by really, really good copywriters is that the higher income or the higher net worth of the market that we're going after, the more text we write. I'm gonna repeat myself. One thing I learned from really successful marketers, direct response marketers that wrote copy, they make a living just writing. In an era where people don't like to read, is that the higher net worth of the individuals that we're going after, the market that we're going after, the higher net worth, the higher income bracket that they were going after, the longer we make the copy. Why? Because as you start to go up the net worth and the income bracket, on average, not every person, but on average, they read more than the average American does. You understand me? And this is the struggle that a lot of people have. That's why I can make videos about stuff, and the person, they can't see what's right in front of them, is because they don't have the fundamental market understanding because they're not reading about the market, right? They spend zero time. They jump on YouTube and get entertained by people, but they don't actually read about the market, where the majority of the really heavy information about the market is in print. It's not on a YouTube video. All those SEC documents are on print. They're not on YouTube. SEC doesn't make videos around their documents. Everything's in print. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I'm going to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to break off real quick. So let me share my screen so you can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is the Financial Times. Well, let's start at Barron's, right? So here's Barron's, okay? So Barron's is a financial publication, okay? Now, their target market is really people that are interested in the markets, long-term investors, traders, people that are interested in the financial markets, not just on a domestic level, but also on an international level. That's their target market. And one thing I tell people to do is that study their headlines, study the information that is being presented to you, because it's night and day from mainstream news. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Look at Barron's. Look at their headlines. NASDAQ gains turns to pain after Peloton sinks 25%. S&P 500 and Dow drop, right? Peloton is pausing production of bikes. Here's why Alibaba and JD are beating Apple and Tesla. You got your particular topics, right? Let's go to Europe. Let's look at the European markets. Then we got these particular topics based on Europe. City asks London staff to return to offices 3 days a week. 3-decade high UK inflation raises. Okay, different articles. Now let's go to Wall Street Journal. Here's another publication that I tell people to read. Now let's just go to the home page because I want you to see the difference. We're on the Wall Street Journal. We're on their home page. Netflix stock falls on forecasts of slower subscriber growth. Okay, let me zoom that in a little bit. U.S. allows Baltic NATO members to send arms to Ukraine. Home sales reached 15-year high in 2021. Okay, it's refreshing the page. Supreme Court's permit continued enforcing the Texas 6-week abortion ban, right? That's one of the political headlines. Bonuses are up on Wall Street, but not the mood. Now, this is what I want to show you about a publication like the Wall Street Journal. Let's go to their politics page, right? Because you know politics is a very hot button topic in the United States of America. And we see on the journal, we get the Dow Jones, we get the NASDAQ, we get the TIR, which is 1.8. We get the crude, which is down 0.77. We also get the euro. Average person can look at these tickers and won't even know what they mean, right? Now, this is a politics tab. Look at how they headline politics. Supreme Court permits continued enforcement of Texas 6-week abortion ban. Biden criticized after raising prospect of illegitimate 2022 election. Senate panel approves antitrust bill restricting big tech platforms. Georgia district attorney seeks grand jury to probe Trump bid to overturn vote. Oath keepers catch 8 weapons for January 6th Capitol attack, prosecutors say. Now, this is how they headline political topics. Now, I'm going to show you a contrast, right? We're going to go to Fox News. Look at how they headline political topics. Look at it. Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner blasts NCAA for decision on transgender athlete as outrage boils, right? Look at how they headline Supreme Courts. Supreme Court deals blow to abortion providers with latest Texas ruling on Texas law, right? Democratic congressmen claim U.S. has racist Senate attacks Republican. This is how they headline articles, right? But we're not going to just pick on Fox. Let's go to MSNBC. This turns out to be the greatest scandal of Biden's presidency, right? These January 16 rioters running for office highlight everything wrong with the GOP. Millions of Afghans are in imminent danger. The U.S. must help. This is how they headline stuff. So if you continue to ingest this content, this is how they will shape your thinking, right? Now let's go to a smaller publication, a private media organization, the Daily Wire. Matt Walsh issued scathing response to LBGT activists traumatized, given nightmares by his Dr. Phil appearance. How to pay off your house. That's sponsored content, my bad. British comment breaks down describing damage of masks in schools. They ruined our lives. Okay. Biden snaps at another female journalist over questions she asked. Biden's IRS will make users upload pictures of their face to access tax information. Look at how they headline. So this is how they're programming you to think about the world. So this is why I tell people, if you're going to be successful in these markets, you have to watch what information you're ingesting, because the information you're ingesting is creating a conversation inside your head. And it's creating your perspective of the world. On either of these three publications, you're not going to get any economic news. You're not going to get any market-based news. So their audience is not people that's interested in the markets. You understand me? This is why you have to start changing the information that you're putting in front of you, because if all you're doing is getting political talk and not talk about the markets, how are you going to be successful in the markets if this is all you ingest? But their audience is not successful in the markets. They'd be lucky to have a 401k account, and they don't even know what comprises their 401k. Now let's go to something like The Economist, right? Now The Economist does do opinion pieces, but they also talk about articles, right, that are not politically biased, right? This is another publication that I read on a regular basis. Then we can do the Financial Times, which I used to be called the Chicago Financial Times. Here's their headlines. Netflix warning on subscriber growth since shares plummeting. Who didn't see that coming? Permian Basin, high oil prices breathe a new life in the U.S. shale. Okay. News in depth, too big to be ignored. Microsoft activism deal test regulators. Who didn't see that coming? Anytime you got a merger, especially of that particular or an acquisition of that size, the SEC is going to get involved. So these are the kind of publications that I read on a regular basis, and it shapes the way I see the world. I don't read a lot of over-the-top politically charged publications. Why? Because I can't make $3. I'm not a political entertainer. So I can't make $3 reading that information. It doesn't help me. They don't give me any information that's going to benefit me long term, right? I want you to really understand that. And so you got to really realize that the kind of information that you're putting in front of you is really going to determine how you see the world, and then determine what moves you can make in the world. And often the political entertainer, they know about the markets, but they don't believe that you're interested in it. So then therefore, they're never going to talk to you about it, because you'll be surprised. We talked about this before on this platform, how many of our senior level, national level politicians are trading the markets, and they never talk to their audience or their constituency about doing the same thing, because they believe you're not interested. You're interested in whether or not CEO CRT should be taught in schools. That's the hot button topic to you. And even if you look at publications like the Robb Report, right, they're going after a particular audience. So you're not going to see certain articles in the Robb Report. Why? Because it doesn't fit their audience. And I really want you to really start examining in 2022, what information are you putting in front of yourself? Because that's really going to determine how you see the world, how you perceive the world, and what moves you think you can make in the world based on the information. Because the Robb Report doesn't have hot button political topics in here. This is the Robb Report. They're known for what they're known for. But if you read the Robb Report on a regular basis, it'll change the way you see the world. So you really, really want to examine that. Let's get back to it. Let me go ahead and get that out of there. Stop the screen. Share that back. Okay, let's get back to it. Next thing you want to do is you want to paper trade. This is really, really important. And I probably should include this in the course this semester. A lot of people jump right into the market because they're in a rush. And I would encourage them to paper trade. What do I mean by paper trade? You can get a pen and a piece of paper and you can record your trades, right? They were trading before a computer was ever invented. So you don't need a computer to trade the market. You can get a pen and a piece of paper and you can record your trades. And then you can record how well you did on your trade. And you can keep a record of that. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to test your strategy. It allows you to determine whether or not you got an edge. A lot of us are in a rush to get into the market. The market will be here when we're gone, I guarantee you. It will be here when we're gone. This is one of the last things that they have left in this particular society is this financial market. I know a guy in the UK makes a lot of money doing Forex. He learned Forex from a guy in the UK that was a big time Forex mentor. His mentor told him after his Forex training, I want you to spend the next 2 years paper trading the market. He followed instructions. He's a very, very successful trader now. Why? Because he learned how to trade over 2 years. This idea that when you put real money, it's different than fake money, that's propagated by people that never traded the market. A system is a system, irregardless of the money. That's like telling me, well, you shouldn't shoot the basket in practice because you won't shoot in practice the same way you shoot in the game. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. So anybody that has ever performed in certain arenas know, yes, you will shoot in the game the same way you shoot in practice. Because when you're watching Steph Curry shoot the ball, he's shooting off of muscle memory. See, when you play sports, you're playing sports off of what you think you should do because you haven't done it enough times. Steph Curry's shooting off of muscle memory. So it doesn't matter that you run at him with a hand up. He has so much muscle memory built up over years of shooting the basketball. He just goes through a routine. That's what you don't understand. I'm not talking about you personally watching the video. Is because you don't understand these kind of environments. So if you paper trade your system, you're going to operate your system irregardless of what's going on around you because you have confidence in your system because you've gone through your system enough times. Same thing with a quarterback. A quarterback oftentimes will throw to a spot, not a person. Well, how does he know how to throw to a spot? Because he's practiced throwing to that spot, not a person. So the problem is that a lot of us are getting counsel from people that have never been in these situations, and they're just creating up with what they think makes sense based on what they do, right? But many of these same people, they eat unconsciously. Why? Because they've eaten so much. So they drive by a fast food restaurant and nobody has to tell them to go into the restaurant. They just do it unconsciously. Why? Because that's what they practiced. So what's interesting is that they don't see the repetition and the unconscious behavior in themselves, but they say it can't be done. So I want to really encourage people to paper trade. Another thing you want to do is consider saving more capital. And what that means is that over time, buy more expensive contracts. What I mean by this is that you want to consider saving some capital so you can eventually move yourself into more expensive contracts. Now, what I'm not saying is that you can't build your account up over time. You can because accounts compound. That's how money works. But many times what we do is that we got a certain amount of capital. I have people tell me, well, I'm going to start my account with $2,000. I told them, don't do that. Start your account with $250 to $500. It's not investment advice. Why? Because I would rather have you grind your account up, right? Then if you lose it, right, it's not as much as a blow. Then to start with $2,000 and lose it, and it's a big blow. So even if you got $2,000 sitting to the side, start the account with $250. Then grind that account up. Grind it, right? Go through the struggle of building that account up over time. Why? Because then if you blow it, you just only out the $250. Now you're out your profits, but you didn't put your whole account in. I had one guy tell me he was going to start an account with $20,000. That's too much money. That's way too much money. You must think we trade in equities. You're trading a leveraged derivative. You ain't got to start the account with $20,000, right? I wouldn't recommend that for anybody unless you got years in this game where you really know how to manage risk and you're very good at it. So consider saving more capital. So over time, you can buy more expensive contracts. However, I would always encourage people, start an account with a small amount. Why? Because if you blow your account, You're only out your principal, even though in reality you are out your profits, but you are out your principal as opposed to starting with a big account, you blowing it because you don't know what you're doing, and then now you really out of the game. Okay. Next particular point. Try to get over your fear of losing money. No course can get you around this reality. Many people think they're going to buy the course that's going to stop them from losing money. It's impossible. I saw this when I was a media buyer for Facebook. People were looking for the course that was going to allow them to be successful at buying Facebook ads without losing any money. It's impossible. Because the only way to learn how to buy media is to buy media. The only way to learn how to trade is to trade. So you can paper trade, you can develop your system, and you still may lose money, right? The market can take a turn that you may not see coming, right? Because you're not in control of the market. You're not Goldman Sachs, you're not JP Morgan, you're definitely not BlackRock. You're not in the driver's seat of the market. Therefore, things can happen that you can't control. If you're so fearful of losing money, it's going to be difficult. Most traders have this problem. Either they have no fear of losing money, which means they put all their money into something, trying to get rich overnight, or they have all the fear in the world of losing money, which means they don't do anything. You got to try to get your way to the middle. I always talk about being a moderate in certain spaces where there's a nuance to how you see things. It's not these extremes. These extremes in this market are going to put you in a bad scenario, right? You got to try to figure out how to be more moderate, how to be more in the middle to where you have a level of confidence in what you're doing. However, you have a level of risk management so you don't lose everything. But the fear of losing money in the market is going to put you in a position to where you're never going to have a position to be successful because the return is always based on the risk. You're going to have to take some risk to get a return out in the market. That's why I told you, if you don't want to take any risk, just buy U.S. bonds, buy T-bills, because the United States government is going to pay you. You don't have to worry about that. Next thing, keep a trading journal. This is very, very important. Most people don't record their trades. Right? They don't record their trades, so they don't really know what they're doing. And that's one of the good things about paper trading is you're recording all your trades. Professional traders, they will keep records of everything, right? Some of them keep records that go back years, right? You really want to keep a trading journal because it's going to allow you to what we're going to talk about next. You want to review all your trades, right? Review all your trades. Is your plan more important than the return on the trade? I was watching a documentary. There's an outfit up there in New York. I think they're called S&B Capital. It's not an advertisement for them. And they train traders. You can go there, you can pay money, and they will try to teach you how to be a trader. And one of the things they talked about is that when you exit a trade, whether you're profitable or you took a loss, did you follow the plan? Because the problem that a lot of people get into is that they don't have a plan. And therefore, when they're successful, they don't know why they're successful. And when they're unsuccessful, they don't know why they're unsuccessful because they didn't have a plan. And you got to become so process oriented to where your plan is more important than the return on the trade. Because you want to work your plan. Because if you don't work your plan, then you're just cowboying it, which works until it doesn't work. And then when it doesn't work, you don't know why it doesn't work. Okay, that's the issue. Now, I'm going to ask everybody, we got 56 people on the live stream. We got around 30 likes. I would appreciate it if people would give me some likes. And then what we're going to do really quickly while we're working on those particular likes, we on number 8. We're going to talk about the particular offer. So the sponsor of the show is www.thehighestpaid.online. It's our options trading academy. It's designed for 3 people. 1, the person that doesn't like the fact that there's a cap on their income. They know what 2022, they already know how much money they're going to make for the year. We can't guarantee any income. What I can guarantee you that is if you go through the content and you apply yourself, you'll have a much better understanding of the market and you can put yourself in the best position to be successful if you desire to be successful. Next candidate is a person that doesn't like the fact that they got to take all the time away from their family just to make the money that they're making. They actually want to be around their family. Third candidate is a person that, what I was getting ready to say, they don't like the fact that is a cap on their income. Right? I'm sorry. They don't like the amount of money that they make on their job. I apologize. So they're dissatisfied. They want to make more money. We can't guarantee that you're going to make more money. What I can guarantee you that is if you go through the content and you apply the content, you can put yourself in a much better position to be profitable in this market. I can't make any guarantees because I don't know if you're going to follow through. But we've been able to that we can have successful people that have taken a particular course and have applied themselves, right? We've had very much a large degree of success to those particular people. We will be raising the price of this particular course at the end of this month. So I want to really encourage everybody that's watching this particular video, decide what you want for 2022 and go ahead and make a move for the positive. And let's get back to the content. Next thing you want to do is give yourself time. One of the biggest challenges, and we talked about this before, you don't judge college in 6 months. You don't go to college and say, well, if I'm not making money in 6 months, the college is bunk or it's bogus. You don't go learn a trade and say, well, you know what? I take a trade. If I'm not making money in 6 months, the trade is bogus. What's interesting is about online education is people think they should be successful in 6 months. Who told you that? And a lot of that is because you're buying into a lot of this over-the-top marketing. And you want to ask yourself, why does that over-the-top marketing appeal to you? Why do you need it to be so easy? You believe I can get all this success and I don't have to do no work. Because one of the biggest challenges, and we can't talk about this right now, is you want to do something different and you want to get a different result in your life, but you want to stay the same person. And when you accept that I can't be the same person that I am and get something different in life, is when you're going to have a transformational change. Right? But that's the problem with most people. A lot of people at a certain level of success, because of who they are, because of their habits, because of their beliefs, because of the way in which they see the world, and they want to get more success but stay the same person. So they're attracted to, I can be the same person but have this massive success because I'm looking at this person and they look just like me. They act just like me, right? And they're having what I believe to be success so that I don't have to change anything about myself. So then I think that success will come overnight because I want overnight success. And this person is telling me they can give me overnight success. You got to give yourself some time. If you've never read anything about the markets, it's going to take you some time for you to start to understand how this information is presented and what it means. Most people can't make a connection between the 10-year treasury, the inflation rate or the perceived rate of inflation, and people investing in growth stocks, right? That are generating earnings, but they're generating revenue, but no returns. Let me repeat that. Most people cannot make the connection between the 10-year treasury rate, the perception of inflation as a result of the 10-year treasury rate, and a growth for stock that's generating revenue, but no earnings. What do I mean by that? They're generating a lot of revenue, but they're not generating really good earnings per share. They don't see the connection. One of the reasons why they don't see the connection is because they haven't spent enough time in this space to see those type of connections. They don't understand that a firm has a big customer in Peloton. So one of a firm's biggest customer was Peloton. So as Peloton starts to decline in revenue and in business activity, there could be a negative impact on the firm. They can't see those connections. Why? Because the conversations that they're having on YouTube is, what's wrong with the woman? What's wrong with the man? How I can say these little keywords and these code words and have more sex with women, or how I can divest and live the life I've always desired. So then they come over here, the conversation is not based like that. They can't figure out where they fit in. So they go back over there and I'm cool with that. But that's the problem is you got to give yourself some time because you probably got to deprogram yourself from all that BS that's inside your head. That's not going to help you become anything. Next thing you need to do, you need to consult with a more experienced trader. And when I say consult, I don't mean watch them online trying to figure out the secret. There's a guy in Miami that I'm going to link up with. We haven't been able to get our scheduling down. He probably going to charge me almost $1,000 to talk to him for an hour. But what he can teach me over that hour can make me thousands of dollars. He's a much more experienced trader than me. He used to actually work on the street. There's another guy I'm going to reach out to. He used to work at the CBOE. I got to figure out what he's going to charge. He's going to teach me a lot about offsetting some of the risks that I'm taking in my particular positions. These are people that are much more experienced, but there's a price point attached to talking to them. You're only going to learn so much by watching them on YouTube for free. Eventually, you're going to have to sit down and pay that money, right, to get the education. And you may not be able to get it now. You may be able to get into the future. But if that's what you really want, you're going to take the sacrifices to get it. If you don't, you're going to try to figure out how can I get it for free? And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to do what works based on your budget and where you're at in this particular life. I don't never down nobody for not having the money because there was times I didn't have it. You got to do what you got to do. But the idea that the internet has created that you're going to become this uber successful person just by watching somebody for free is a false idea, especially when you're paying everybody else for everything else in this world, especially when you pay for college, right? I didn't go for college for free. I don't know. I know maybe 3 people that got a scholarship. Everybody else paid. So it's interesting. The internet has created this narrative that everything's supposed to come for free. And I just got to watch long enough and I'll be able to figure it out. Next thing you want to do is you may want to consider talking to a therapist. In the VIP course, we added a therapist. Why? Because we understood a lot of people have mental blocks. They have a mental block based on what they've gone through in life and the BS that they've picked up over the course of their life that's not going to allow them to be successful. I'm going to talk about this in the video next week. A lot of us can't handle making more money in a month. A lot of us can't handle making more money in 2 weeks than most people make all month. A lot of us can't handle making more money in 90 days than the average American makes in a year. So because we can't handle it, we will defeat ourselves, right? We will self-sabotage ourselves in this particular situation. Because we're not making this money entertaining people, which we think is acceptable. We're not making this money playing sports, which we believe to be acceptable. We're not making this money working a job, which we believe to be acceptable. We're making this money with our mind in the markets, doing something that most people say you're not going to be successful at. So we'll start to feel a complex. I had a guy reach out to me, and real smart dude, real smart guy. Guy was a mathematician, brilliant dude. And he wanted to say, David, and multiple people have asked me this. It's interesting. They say, David, man, I took this particular course on options. He took it from another guy I know that has a really, really good course. In fact, I took his course. He said, David, man, is this stuff real? He says, man, I'm getting this money. I feel like I'm stealing. I say, it's real. You can do the math. You see it's real. But because of the way he's been conditioned to make money, he's making money out of the market. And he has a complex about it because it's coming too easy to him. Right? I never made $1,000 this easy. You can make $1,500 in the market and realize somebody in America working for the #1 retailer in the country is going to have to work all month to make that same $1,500. And you made it in 3 days. This is the problem. We start thinking I got to be doing something wrong. So then because I got to be doing something wrong, let me self-sabotage myself. Right? So sometimes talking to a therapist can get some of those mental blocks out because being a trader is 99.9% psychological. It's 1% technical. It's really all inside your head. And once you understand that, you can put yourself in a position to be successful. Next thing you do is stop losses and alerts. This is something I still need to implement. A lot of times, if you set stop losses and alerts, you can stop yourself from losing a big position. And it's something that you may want to learn how to do based on a particular trading platform that you're using. I don't recommend any platform. Go whatever platform works for you. I don't have an affiliate link for none of them, right? Go with what works for you. And if you can figure out how to set conditional losses, right? And also conditional stops where you take profit, it can put you in a position where if the market swings on you, you don't take a big loss. And also you can take profit and get out of the market. Okay. Let me look at that real quick. Okay. We have 52 likes, so we can get the likes up. I appreciate it. Next thing is you want to take breaks so you don't burn out. That's on good or bad. I tell people all the time, and I encourage people, if you have a really, really good play in the market, you hit for big money, you hit for 10,000 at one time, you probably should take 2 weeks off because you made more money than most people going to make all quarter, right? You should probably just take 2 weeks off. Don't trade because you can get caught into a euphoria to where now you start making bad trades because you feel like I'm on a lucky streak. Same thing if you have a really, really bad downfall. If you lose a lot of money in the market, just take a week off, take 2 weeks off because you don't want to start revenge trading trying to get it all back. So what you can do is you can take breaks so you don't burn out because you're trading for yourself. You're not trading for a particular job that makes you show up every day. And that's why I don't teach, even though you can take the information that I'm giving you and you can do intraday trading. I don't teach it is because I believe it burns people out. And I want to put you in the best position to be successful. So I don't push you into a lane in which I know a lot of y'all can't handle. That's not being a benefit to you. Right? So you may want to figure out how can I take breaks so I don't burn out, whether I'm doing real well or whether I'm doing real bad. Next thing is repetition is key. The market is a carousel. Repetition is key, right? This market, what I'm seeing going on right now in the market is literally the same thing that happened last February. And I told people last year, I'm going to wait for this to happen again. Because I missed out last February because I hadn't seen this before. As I've spent more time in the market, I start to pick up different contextual clues that I didn't pick up last year, right? I'm picking up stuff in the market now that I didn't pick up 2 years ago. It's just obvious to me now why, because I spent enough time observing this stuff. Repetition a lot of times is key. So if you spend enough time in this space, you start to pick up things from being in that space that an average person wouldn't pick up. Why? Because they don't see it. And the market is a carousel. It's just really going around in a circle. It's not a roller coaster. It's really a circle. And if you stay in long enough, you'll see the market go around in a circle. Say, okay, we've gone through this particular cycle. Now we're getting ready to go into another cycle. That may be longer than the first cycle. It may be shorter than the first cycle, but it's still a cycle. 16, real important. Stop listening to people who can't trade, telling you that you can't be successful, right? Many people can make a living only telling you what can't be done, right? Some people are professional cynics. There's nothing wrong with that. That's their assignment. So I want you to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say we're a Fortune 500 company. Let's say we're Microsoft, and we're looking at buying Activision. We're going to have attorneys working for us, and their job is to tell us everything that can go wrong about that acquisition. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to give us every negative scenario about the acquisition of Microsoft. That's their job. It doesn't mean, right, that still may not be a good deal for us. It means it's their job to give us every negative scenario, right? That's their counsel. That's what they're here for. Many times we have people telling us only what can't be done to be successful. And that's really their assignment. That's their personality. That's their character. Don't make them bad people. But it also don't mean what they're saying is not true. You can try to do a lot of things in this world and fail, but you'll never figure it out if you don't try it. And the problem is what we've done is we've put a cap on our ability to be successful in this world instead of trying to figure out what can we do to build ourselves up to be successful. It's just nobody tries it because you can't figure it out. But then nobody ever gets to that next level because nobody tries it. You feel me? And we don't have a way in which we can educate people to be successful in the space. And this is the problem. So I'm not a fan of listening to people who can't trade tell me anything about trading. I won't listen to them. Why? Because you can't trade. I was years ago, y'all remember Juice World from Chicago. And that situation happened with him on the plane. It was a crazy situation. We still don't really know what happened. And they was trying to tell me that it was 70 pounds on the plane. I say nowhere in the world they put 70 pounds on a private jet with them on the jet and with all their luggage. Didn't happen. I got a bunch of dudes on Facebook arguing with me. I say, dude, you ain't never seen a pound of weed before in your life. What you gonna argue me over 70 pounds? I'm not gonna. You ain't never seen a pound of weed at one time in your life. You don't even know what it look like. You don't even know how it got to come to you if somebody was gonna send it to you. So I'm not gonna argue with you whether or not there was 70 pounds on a private plane to somebody that's never even seen a pound of weed at one time in their life, right? Because I knew that I'm talking to somebody that don't know what they're talking about. Many times in life, we get distracted or we get taken off course by somebody that doesn't even know what they're talking about. They don't know this space. They're just talking. The internet provides a great opportunity for anybody and everybody to get a platform and for everybody to get their stand in the town square and to say what they got to say. Historically, these type of opportunities were gatekept. Therefore, you can have a person that don't know what they're talking about. Don't mean that they may not be knowledgeable in their area. What it means by that, they get a lot of times they will get outside of their area and start talking just to talk. Everybody got an opinion, but it doesn't mean their opinion is informed. And therefore, as a successful trader, I would encourage you to listen to people that can actually trade and stop listening to people that can't trade, right? There is no guarantee of success in anything. Let me explain to you the only guarantee in life. One day your life is going to lose. What do I mean by that? One day you're going to lose your life. That's the only guarantee. There is no other guarantee on planet Earth. Is that one day right? The Lord is going to come call you home. And if you don't believe in that, then one day that you're going to physically expire. There is no other guarantee. Everything else is up in the air. Now, is there a likelihood that you can be more successful in this area than that other? That's 100% true, right? But there is no guarantee of success regardless of what path you take, because the only guarantee on the planet is that you're going to pass away. You got to figure out what works for you based on what you want to do, right? But don't look for a guarantee in anything, because there is only one guarantee once you're born on this planet, is that one day you're going to lose your life, right? So that's what I would tell you, is stop listening to people that are professional cynics. Understand they're professional cynics. That's their assignment. Take into account what they say and use it to make a comprehensive understanding of what's going on, and then move from there. Because you could have been LeBron James and there would have been somebody telling you that you weren't going to be able to play NBA basketball. Why? Because that's just what they do. Oh, LeBron, man, you're going to blow your knee out in high school. You're never going to play pro ball. But I'm 6'7", 6'8". I'm one of the best athletes in the game. And I'm 6 years above my class from a basketball IQ. And it's obvious when I'm on the court. But, LeBron, you could blow your knee out. So, LeBron, what I think you should do is I think you should go to college, and I think you should major in STEM, because I really think that's where you're really going to be able to be successful at. Now, LeBron James probably should have did what he did. Now, does that mean that everybody can do what LeBron James do? But for LeBron James, even though the numbers are showing you that most guys are not going to make the NBA, for LeBron James, yeah, he probably should have did what he did. There's a young boy playing for Memphis named Imani Bates. I told people 6 years ago, he's one of the few people in the country where his parents should expect him to be an NBA player, right? They just should expect him to be an NBA player. Unless he has a catastrophic injury with his body, they should expect him to be an NBA player. Does that mean that most parents should expect that for their child? No, but he should, because of his physical ability. So every scenario is different. Is there a guarantee that Imani Bates is going to play NBA ball? No, he can have the same injury that Sean Livingston had. And that's a possibility playing ball. So anything can happen. However, every scenario is different. And the question is, what result do we want, and how we can put ourselves in the best position to be successful at that result by also mitigating the risk associated with getting to that result. Next thing we want to talk about. If you fail at this, let's say it doesn't work. Let's say you try all of this stuff and it doesn't work. You'll be still more informed about the markets than 99% of the world, which will make you an expert long-term investor, and you can teach this skill to your children. They might be the chosen one. Your assignment in all of this may be to get the education and teach it to your children. It may not be for you to be successful. And many of us, we struggle with that because we think the only value in something is what we can do with it. Really, really successful families have people in their family that say, you know what? I'm going to invest in something that I'm never going to get a dividend out of. The dividend ain't going to come until 50 years after I die. And unsuccessful families have people in their family, for whatever reason, say, I only invest in things in which I can get that immediate dividend out of. You understand me? If you learn all this information, you may not get the success that you think you want, but your child may be able to take this because they're learning it at an earlier age and they can apply it a lot longer. They may be the person that has the success and they change everything, the trajectory of your family. But because of how we've been programmed and socialized in this country, we don't see that kind of success being something that is a desirable to us. We got to get the success, as opposed to our descendants or our benefactors getting into success. And that's what I want people to really understand. So that's going to be it. We at the 49-minute mark. If we got any questions, hit me up in the comments, and I'm going to go ahead and run through the comments, and we're going to get up on out of here. Right? Let's start at the top. Okay, I appreciate it, DT. Okay, DT, I appreciate it. We're going to raise the price and everything, but the value will still be there. And I understand. We also got a payment plan on the VIP. You don't have to pay the money all up front. Mr. G, man, I appreciate you supporting the platform. Keep doing what you're doing like we talked about before, man. It's all about consistency, but I appreciate you coming through with the super chat. Julian Brown, I appreciate the super chat, man. Mia, I appreciate the super chat, the super sticker. Right? Yeah, definitely. I read the journal pretty much every day. I do most of my reading at night and in the morning. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. All the time. I mean, I saw his workout when he was real young. It was like a 6-hour workout. This dude's crazy. But that's how he got good. It was like a 6-hour workout. He talked about when he knew he was going to the NBA in high school, he said he would wake up in the morning and do a workout in the morning, go to school, and then work out with his team again. You know, so people think that dude was good just because, you know, he just was born like that. Put a lot of work into his game. Like he really did. Before the year is over, okay, yeah, well, as long as you understand the price is going to keep moving up. Yeah, and that happens to people. Yeah, that's what I said, GC. Even vacuum seal, they couldn't do 70 pounds. You know, just not on a private plane. But I mean, they can believe that. Right? But RIP to Juice WRLD. So this is not investment advice. I tell people to start with $250 to $500. Why? Because you got to grind it out. And I think you can learn better about yourself and your personality if you just grind it out. Because most people start with more money because they think they're going to get there faster. And most of the time, they just blow their money. You better start with a small amount and grind it. And learn, because by trading, you're going to learn more about yourself. Most people are hiding from themselves. Right? And trading is going to really show you who you are as a person. Right? And that's what most people fail. What I suggest, I don't understand the question. No, I say $250 to $500 and just grind it out. Money compounds over time. Because if you don't know how to trade, more money is not going to help you. You're just going to blow more money. Right? So if you don't know how to trade, more money is not going to help you. You just don't know how to trade with more money. Right? I would, one, paper trade, figure out how you know what your system is, what you think your edge is. Right? What we teach in the course, we really heavy go in on fundamental analysis, which will help you as a trader, also as a long-term investor. Fundamental analysis will help you in any market in this world, right? Any market, whether you're looking at crypto, real estate, because you learn how to analyze a business situation, which most people don't know how to do, right? Then you take that into the market, but not, I wouldn't say $1,000, because like I said, if you don't know how to trade, more money is not going to save you. What books do I suggest? You don't need to read books. I would just keep reading the articles, right? If you want to read a book, I would say read a crowd. But if you're not reading the market-based publications, a book's not going to save you, right? So that's the thing is if you're not reading these market-based publications, books don't matter, right? You got to read about the markets. And no book is going to really break down the daily market activity because it's a book. It's not being put out like a regular publication. I would read The Crowd. You can get The Crowd on Amazon. I think it's in the public domain. It's like $9, right? I just gave it to my niece. I think she's 13. Told her I'm gonna ask her for a book report in like a month, right? That's how powerful I think that book is. Just read The Crowd like 10 times. You know, you got to really understand that. Impactful to who? Who would be impactful to? Right? Who would it be impactful to? I've taught about weekly. I taught about monthly expirations in my VIP to get people to understand what it is. It is something that you got to take into account, but I don't have this code word I call quadruple riching. It's monthly options expiration. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's monthly options expiration. Mr. G, good job. That risk management is everything. One of the reasons why Mecca's so successful because she really understands risk management. But I got her to believe, I was successful in getting her to believe that she's not just a trader. She is managing wealth or managing capital on behalf of her family. And as a result, she has to practice risk management, because it'd be the same way if you was managing on behalf of a firm. You got to practice risk management. If you go watch that movie, The Big Short, the reason why they came at Barry so hard is because he took the whole account of the money that he was managing. He bought credit default swaps. And the deal he was set into was that one, he was paying a premium monthly. He was betting for the U.S. housing market to fail. And then also, if people pulled their money out of the account, it voided the contracts. So the bank had caught him in a catch-22. He really took, I wouldn't say he took on a lot of risk. He made a good trade. It's just the conditions of the trade put him in a bad scenario. Because if it didn't work, they would have killed that whole account. The banks would have took all that money. So risk management is key. In fact, risk management to me is more important than actually knowing how to trade. It's way more important. Most people lose because of risk management. That's why people have a big account and they'll totally deplete their whole account, because their risk management is bad. As they make more money, they take on more risk instead of doing what they did to get to the money. So if I start an account with 10 grand, 6 months later, I got $250,000. Well, why don't I just keep doing what I'm doing? What I do now is start taking on bigger size trades to try to get to $1 million now faster. I got to $250,000 in 6 months. I just keep doing what I'm doing. But it's hard because it's a psychological thing. I would become a sheet metal worker, because you can be a sheet metal worker and still trade. So I would never tell you to stop learning one skill to go pick up another skill. You can do both skills at the same time. So I would go finish out your 3 years. That's what I would encourage you to do, because you're already a year in. So why quit? That don't make sense to me. And you can get money in both lanes, right? So more money is never a bad situation. Why don't you just learn how to trade? So do you know how to trade and you're indecisive of what path to take? Or you don't know how to trade and you're trying to figure out what not to do? I'm confused with the question. Yeah, that's the book. I don't say the best publications. So the best is going to kind of be based on what you're interested in reading. I would Google, I would go into Google and say market-based publications in Google and see what comes up, and they'll give you like a list of publications. And then I would go through and start reading them and figure out which ones do you like to read. Because if you don't like to read it, it don't matter what I tell you, because you're not going to read it. So I would Google market-based publications. Google will give you a list of publications, and then you just figure out which ones you like to read off that particular list, and you'll figure that out by just reading them every day. And I think that'll put you in the best position to be successful. And then you'll kind of find out which publications work best for your personality. So we got any last questions before we get out of here? We at the 58-minute mark. All right, so the name of the book is Risk Management by John C. Hall. Okay, Mr. G, I'm gonna check that out. So we got any questions before we bounce up on out of here? Yeah, he is. He can play. People trying to say he a bust at Memphis, but that's just YouTube stuff. Unless he just totally just embarrasses himself, he a first round pick. The links in the link will be in the description. The link's also in the video, Nini Love. So I would tell you to go to the link, figure out which program works for you. You got two options, the VIP and you got your core course, and go ahead and get started. That's when you can learn to start trading. So that's pretty much going to be it. If everybody's looking at the market currently, I didn't expect this much volatility this early, but I don't know what they're doing, man. I don't think and I may do a video on this. I don't think they can lower the I don't think they can raise the interest rate enough to stop inflation, but I don't know if people are really ready to have that conversation. I want to bring people on to have that conversation. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But I don't think they can lower that interest rate enough. I don't think they can raise the interest rate enough to stop inflation. And I think if they do, it's going to make the cost of deficit spending through the government. It's going to make that too expensive. I think people over time, and I was telling somebody this in the Discord, they're going to get used to high prices. I think that's what's going to happen. So I want to really encourage everybody to start focusing on money. I know somebody was talking about they was doing travel nursing on another chat yesterday, and it was like, we get money. And I told them, just get as much as you can. Don't worry about what these people do, because I really think the way they're going to have to play this is that I don't think they can do anything to stop inflation. Inflation is around 7%. I think they're just going to let it run so long that people get desensitized to paying it. Because for most people, as long as they can get credit, they're not going to trip on inflation. Because with the credit, they can get what they want. That's what they're going to think about. They're not going to think about the inflation. Because I don't think he can raise the rate to stop inflation, because like I said, it's going to make the cost of government spending too expensive. So I think he's boxed in. But I think this is a byproduct of the system that we're in. So he had to save the market by creating a massive amount of liquidity. Also wish I could bring somebody to talking that once they stop buying all those MBSs, what's going to happen to the housing market? Because we know the housing market is not a market of physical houses, it's a market of buying and selling securities based on people creating a yield by making a home payment. Once the Federal Reserve starts buying all those MBSs, where's the market going to be at? Especially if they raise the rate and don't buy the MBSs anymore. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. So this is what I'm looking at, because a lot of people, man, especially like in Florida, they're paying a lot of money for homes. I don't think they're going to be able to get that money out of that house in 5 to 10 years, but it is what it is. You know, if you're paying cash, you're going to be all right. But if you finance that stuff, I don't know what to tell you. Do I prefer spreads or naked trades? I primarily trade naked, but I do have people in my group that do spreads, but I don't really do a lot of spreads. I try to keep it simple before I go complex. So my biggest challenge is a lot of people can't trade at all, and they don't know anything about the market, and they're trying to do spreads, which are much more complex. And I don't recommend that, because of my eyes and my doctrine of the market. You need to start with simplicity and then get more complex, as opposed to starting with complexity, right? And you don't know anything that you're doing. So I like to build a fundamental base on somebody and then have them, they can go do whatever they want to do after they build out their fundamental base. But everything starts with the fundamentals. And that's what most people skip, because they think I can get to where I want to go by becoming more complex early. But you don't know what you're doing. And I think that's the challenge a lot of people have. Yeah, I got to see if he wants to come on. I believe that. I believe it. I got out of my positions because it was trading sideways. But I got what I wanted to get out of that deal, because I've been watching that thing for like a year and a half. So right now they probably need to look for a buyout offer. That's probably what they need to look for. I don't see a lot else being able to save them, but I'm glad you was able to get something out of it, because that play was sitting there. It's just there. And I don't think people were seeing it. And I broke the whole thing down. I also broke it all the way down in the class. But like I said, I don't think people seeing it. Vanham Noah, the money's not real. Like the liquidity inside the United States isn't based in physical money, right? I mean, I don't really. Somebody sent me $20 for Christmas. I hadn't seen a $20 bill in like, I don't know, 6 months. All my money's on a card. Yeah, definitely. That's the question. But GC, I wish I could bring, those are the kind of conversations I want to have on the channel, is those kind of conversations, but it's hard to find those people. But I just think it's going to be interesting what they do, because I think as we go into not the primaries, the midterms, I don't think the administration wants inflation at a high number. But I don't know what they can do. So that's the issue. But I don't think the consumer is worried about inflation if they can finance it, because another issue is that if they raise the rates, credit's going to be harder to get. So then the issue is that we try to raise the rates to beat inflation. It makes the credit markets dry up because credit becomes a lot harder to get, which means the U.S. consumer can't get credit, which is what they're living off of. Everybody's living off credit. Nobody really has the money in their bank to buy what they want. I'm not talking about houses and cars. I'm just talking about regular stuff. So it's going to be really interesting how they try to play this. Yeah, definitely. Most people are going to finance their first property. Yeah, but even with the digital dollar, is it still going to be USD? You know, so the issue is that even with a digital dollar, it's still going to be dollar denominated. So the challenge is that most people can't live off what they earn based on what they want to do. So they have to use credit markets. So the problem is that if they raise the rate, it can make credit get tighter, which means people can't live the way they want to live. The reason why this buy now, pay later stuff is so big is because it allows people to live the life that they want to live without having to pay for it. Right? That's the thing. It's I can live the life I want to live without having to pay for it at that moment. So I can defer it to a later date. So whether I pay weekly, whatever the terms are, because there's going to be different buy now, pay later deals. What people are not telling people about companies like a firm is packaging those deals as securities. This is a securitization game. It's not a game of the actual company. So the issue is that when the market for those securities goes away, I don't know if there's still a business there. So these are the kind of things that people really want to start looking at. It is really going to have a lot to do with this policy, because of the volatility that we've seen in the market since the top of the year. It's been all because of federal policy and people's perception of what they think is going to go, and people trying to either de-risk or do whatever they got to do as a result of the policy. Right. So I just want to tell everybody, just, really practice risk management, because they could potentially bring the market back up and then dump it right back down again. Right. So DT, this is not a digital real estate platform. I would tell you to go look at Buy the Hood. So what we try to do is stay really focused on what we do, because I try not to talk outside of my wheelhouse, because I talked about before, that was a lot of people's issue, is that they might not necessarily know about something, but they give their opinion on it like they're an authority. So I know a little bit about digital real estate, but the guys at Buy the Hood, they got a YouTube channel. They would be the experts on digital real estate, and they would be the people to go to about that. One of the things that we got to learn as people is to put our best foot forward in what we are good at, and leave other people and let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying? So I know how to stay in my lane. I have my own opinion on certain stuff, but I'm not an authority. So I try to bring somebody on to talk about it. I've talked about the metaverse and what it'll do, but I'm definitely not an authority on the metaverse. Right? But I've talked about where we think it's going, because I think a lot of people are going to opt into that. And we see that with the Microsoft acquiring Activision. And then we see that with Facebook changing their name and sinking a lot of money into these particular applications. So that's the thing, is that I'm not an expert on everything under the sun by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so we're going to get up on out of here. So I appreciate everybody coming through. If you got any questions, reach out to me. It's David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world. Y'all be safe. Talk to you later.